Yeah, a very good afternoon to one and all, to all the parents and students who have joined us for this session. So, this session is basically about a panel discussion on exploring the horizons of electronics and communication engineering. So, we just want the parents and the students to have an idea of the branch of engineering, whatever they are trying to choose, uh, it being the admission process. So, as part of this is the first in the series of these kind of discussions which we'll be having for all the branches. So, electronics and communication engineering is one of the core branches of engineering, which has been there in the engineering streams as one of the engineering streams since very long. So, today we have experts from the industry, especially, and who also happen to be the alumni of VNR Vignan Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology. So I'd like to just introduce our panel members before I start this session. So let me just introduce my panel members.
Ma'am, Umesh sir is in, ma'am, is in the meeting.
Yeah. Uh, Good afternoon, sir. Umesh, sir.
Good afternoon, Umesh.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Warm
having
welcome to you,
trouble with
sir.
the camera, but let me fix it in a while. Hi, my name is Umesh. I'm founder of Outbase. We are a deep tech cybersecurity startup. I did my undergrad from Vienna.
Umesh, madam will
Sir,
introduce you.
Sorry, ma'am?
Madam will introduce.
sir, we have yet to start, sir. We'll just start off.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. So we are just introducing the panel members before I start off. So we have today on the panel discussion Kamala Ramachandruni Venkata, who has over 13 plus years of experience in the VLSI industry, working for industry giants like NVIDIA Graphics. She holds a MS by research degree in VLSI and embedded systems from International Institute of Information Technology and BTech from Vienna, Vignan Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology. She was the recipient of JNTU University Gold Medal for outstanding performance in ECE across all JNTU constituent and affiliated colleges. She has vast experience in different front-end aspects of IP designs for a system on chip ranging from IP architecture to customer use cases. She holds a US patent in display-related technology. I welcome you, Kamala ma'am.
Thanks, Kanti.
Yeah. So next we have on this panel Mr. Umesh. So he is the Microsoft most valuable professional to becoming the Times most promising business leaders of Asia. So Umesh has been in the center of technology all his life. So he has received many awards and recognitions globally for building next generation technologies. Amidst the ever-growing threats of attacks and network breaches, his company Authbase challenges the status quo by using artificial intelligence to predict identity and mitigate new age threats across machines and networks, securing data and business continuity. Today, Authbase is in the forefront of cognitive security and he is regarded as the thought leader in technology space. He continuously talks about the need for cybersecurity awareness and understanding of artificial intelligence by all as a future prerequisite. He loves giving guest lectures to students of IIT and IIIT, paying it forward for the next generation. I welcome you, Miss Sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So next we have Mr. Suresh Kumar. So he has done his master's in communication systems at NIT Trichy, and he's currently working as sales marketing manager in Nesma Telecom Technology, Saudi Arabia. His role includes marketing of smart city to mega projects like NEOM, Red Sea, Mala municipalities, etc. Public safety marketing to security departments in KSA. He's a former employee of ZTE China and worked as a marketing director in ZTE, Saudi Arabia, and won many awards at ZTE, Saudi Arabia office as 2014 Excellent Annual Employee, 2015 Excellent Annual Staff, 2016 Best Loyal Staff, 2017 Excellent Annual Staff. His areas of interest are smart city, public safety, ICT, telecommunication, IoT, robotics, drones, government enterprise solutions, operator VAS, solar and energy solutions, etc. I welcome you, sir.
Yeah, hi.
So next we have on this panel Mr. Avinash, who has over 17 plus years of industry experience in the field of VLSI design, verification and implementation. He is currently working for Mirafra Technologies as Senior Director Engineering in the Semiconductor Division, where he is handling the complete engineering, delivery and operations at Hyderabad. He is having wide hands-on experience in areas of RTL design and coding, functional and gate level verification, synthesis, static timing analysis, design for test, and good working knowledge on the physical design flow. Prior to Mirafra, he has worked in both VLSI service and product companies like Cyient Limited, L Infochips, Qualcomm, AMD, Synopsys, and HCL Technologies. He is currently working as visiting faculty at BVRIT College, Narsapur, and he is also working as a junior research fellow at IIT Hyderabad since 2021, where he is contributing in the machine learning chipsets that IIT is producing. So he holds a PhD from KL University, Guntur, and he's done his Master of Law from Usmania University, Hyderabad. His topic of research in PhD is low power design for testability techniques, and he's currently pursuing his MBA from Usmania University. Apart from his technical interest, he has a strong interest in social reforms and runs an educational trust for economically backward students. He has a strong passion for education and vision for creating a strong education system along with good value system. I welcome you, Avinash sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
You missed one point, Sudha. He is also a member of our research advisory committee member.
Okay, yeah. So he's also part of VNR. So in that case,
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, sir. So today, the intention of this panel discussion is basically to bring an awareness about this branch of electronics and communication engineering. So as part of that, we have just asked our experts who are there as part of this panel to give us a short brief about a little bit like about what they are doing right now. So I'll start off with Kamla ma'am. Kamla ma'am, can you share about your role of senior ASIC engineer and its concurrence with EC?
Sure, Kanti. So I have a small presentation which I would like to share.
Yeah. I'll stop presenting. Yeah, you can share, ma'am.
Hope it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So hi everyone, a very good afternoon to all the respected parents and the upcoming EC grads. So I'll give a brief presentation of like why I chose my career in the stream of EC and what I have been doing all these years. So why electronics and communications at the first end? So for me, it was very fascinating to see that you open up any device, including regular devices that we use like a bread toaster. It has a lot of electronics in it. It has, for example, a simple control circuit where it senses the temperature and it has to stop the heating element. For example, a phone, LED TV, air conditioning, everything. You take regular day-to-day usage of devices, we have some electronics in it. Similarly, on the communications sector, so we have telecom industry, we have networking and security aspects, we have satellite communications and the current trend, which is like going into the 5G space and IoT. So some of the core areas of EC was like we have analog and radio frequency circuits. So these are the basic building blocks, we can say, right from very old age. Like without these, we don't have cell phones, no Wi-Fi, not even television. VLSI and chip design, which focuses on high-speed, power-efficient circuit designs to meet the current and upcoming computational and storage needs. Then we have computer and digital systems. We have digital systems everywhere right now, right from our washing machines to Mars rovers. Communication and signal processing, everything is transmission and storage and analysis of information signals. And then networking, we have profound impact on society. It's bringing the people across the world together to work collaboratively from different geolocations. So networking is one of the core things which is happening right now to make sure that everybody is up to date and we keep interacting with each other even during this pandemic times. Then we have computer vision and image processing. These technologies make it possible for computers to analyze the data. Then we have control systems, robotics, intelligent transportation. So slowly we are going into the automation side, where automation to reduce human toll in the workplace and enhance the safety in manufacturing systems. Then we have electromagnetics, remote sensing, microwave industry. We have optics and photonics, where we try to use the light and optic principles to solve the engineering problems ranging from fiber optics to lasers for eye surgeries. And then we have nanotechnology and electronic materials, where we have to manufacture or get the efficient solar cells and the material that we have to use in our electronics. So out of so many, these are some of the core areas which I have discussed. EC is a very vast space, and out of these, I have chosen the chip design or the VLSI industry. So what exactly we do in the VLSI industry is that we get into the design of chips. So even if we take us regular mobile phones, we have some processor in it. So we need some electronics in it. So how do we design that? So what we call is, we have something called, we have a big system on a small chip, which we call it as SoC, system on chip. And as part of system on chip, we have different IPs that come and sit on the system. So we have multiple IPs which together make an SoC. So SoC IP design is one of the core things of the chip design industry as far as hardware is concerned. So if we look at the basic chip design flow, like what we have been doing. So first we understand what exactly is the requirement of a chip, who is going to be the end user. Then we do some design entry. That means we make the architecture for it, we design it, and then we make sure that it is working properly, which is the functional verification part. Then we synthesize it, which converts into small logical gates. Then we do partitioning of chip. Then we do design for test, floor plans. So there are multiple stages in this chip design flow. So this GDS2 is the final stage which comes as part of your chip design flow. To summarize, for example, I want to build an iPhone SoC. So for this, we need multiple components which come and together, it becomes a system on chip. For this, we first do the design part. It also involves the verification of it and make sure that it is working properly. Then this is prototyped on a FPGA. That is, this is a hardware which comes ahead of your actual hardware. This is programmable. So we program our design into the FPGA and make sure that it is working properly. Then this goes through a lot of backend process. And finally, we have something called the GDS2 format, which finally goes to a fabrication unit where the chip is fabricated. Then it goes through a manufacturing process where everything is packaged, and finally we have a chip. This chip is finally goes into a PCB, like we have multiple chips here. So this goes into multiple different chips go into a PCB. And finally, we have multiple such small boards which together form a system. So if we look at, to get our end result, which is a device that we wanted to use, there is a long process which goes through. Now, what's so exciting about the chip design? It's very fascinating to understand like who our end customer is going to be and what actually we wanted to design. And there is a lot of innovation that can go through, that you can do while you're doing chip design. Like how fast you can build a chip, how do we make sure that it has less errors? How do we make sure that, see, chip design is a very costly process. Once we fabricate or make sure that the chip is ready, and if we find a bug, it is like millions of dollars of uh, wastage in the industry when it goes for a toss. So we have to be very careful of the about the chip design, and we have to be very cautious and even careful about how we design the chip. And in this process, we can come up with a lot of innovative ideas. So first, we need to be very excited. We get very excited once we get into chip design. And during this innovation process, for example, I have one patent in the display industry side. On the display side, we can I have a US patent. Now coming to the VLSI industry and job prospects, these are very high demand jobs. We need a lot of expertise. That means we need to build a lot of expertise to get into this industry. There are multiple areas, like for example, I can for now we can divide it into the front end design part, which is the logical design of the chip. Then we have the back end process of it, where we design, like, or we can think like breaking up into small electronic components and transistors. Then we have the fabrication aspects. To put in short, three main things. And then the pay packages part, actually it's pretty good for the VLSI industry. We can probably take some questions on this once the presentation is over. And the opportunities are growing and growing in VLSI industry. There is a vast roadmap for this, and you need not worry about what's the future of VLSI industry. So once we choose this wonderful branch of engineering, which is electronics and communications, what are the prospective career paths, at least in the next 5-6 years, where you don't have any doubt about it? Once is the IT sector, then VLSI and chip design side, telecom industry, networking, and then the robotics, ML, AI part. So what's next? First thing is, once you want to get into a very good branch of engineering, we need very good infrastructure, a very good college. And I'm pretty sure VNR is one of the best colleges in ECE branch of engineering. Then market situation, like once you pass out 4 years down the lane, then market situation will determine where we are going to land. And the students have to own their career. What does that mean? You need to build practical knowledge and early hands-on. So the role of student is pretty critical in building your own career. There are a lot of things to explore. So please go beyond books. Take help of your teachers and infrastructure. VNR has one of the best faculty for ECE and best infrastructure. So please utilize teachers' knowledge. Please interact with them. Please take advantage of the infrastructure and try to master the path you choose. ECE is one of the starting points for your bright career, and there are multiple options that we can go in. So whatever path you choose, please try to master it. And every day is a learning, continuous learning, and keeping updated with market is the key. So once you assume that, okay, I got a job or something, maybe I can stop learning. No, even when we are in industry, continuous learning and understanding the market requirements and enhancing our skills to make sure that we meet the market demands, that is the key. And there is also some misconceptions like, okay, maybe AI, ML, robotics, these are very hot or buzzwords that we are listening right now, and probably that is related to some specialization like computers. No. ECE is one of the strong foundations that we need even for these. And in fact, for ML, math, physics, we have a lot of experts from these areas who actually contribute to ML. On top of it, even the computer algorithms, computer scientists, everybody work on this. So it's actually an ecosystem that needs for a subject to grow or for a particular field to grow. For example, I can give you a quick example. We have Tesla cars. So Tesla cars, Elon Musk has done a wonderful job. And what made Tesla cars so fascinating, or why is it the hot topic of the industry right now? They are using robotics for car manufacturing process. So it's a complete ecosystem. So we may wonder, why do a car industry need, for example, robotics or machine learning part? But usage of that in car manufacturing process, it has brought a vast changes in the car industry, which has made Tesla as one of the top one. So do not have the misconception assuming that robotics or ML is for computer science, ECE is something different. No, it is a complete ecosystem which needs different branches of engineering to build a field. Now, how is the future of ECE going to be? It is and it will be the compelling career choice for sure. ECE provides the perfect middle ground to equip yourself with all the necessary skills to reach for a wide variety of career options. For example, machine learning, those things were not even known verticals some 20 years back or 15 years back. But now it is one of the very growing vertical. So we don't know. There will be many other verticals which may come up in the future. So there are unknown verticals of today. AI, ML, robotics. These need lots of math background. And for example, if it takes a speech recognition, so we need lot of digital signal processing aspects. We have image processing aspects which needs to be taken into consideration while working for ML. So all these, you get a strong foundation in ECE. We have those subjects which cover all these aspects. As part of your third year and fourth year, you have subjects which cover the foundation courses for all this. So finally, it is a strong foundation which will decide your career. So I wish you all the best, and I hope you'll enjoy the ECE branch. Good luck.
Yeah.
And I'm open for Q&A. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kamla ma'am. It was really a wonderful session what you have given. And I really like this word, compelling career choice, which you have given for ECE. And being a ECE topper, I do understand how the passion for ECE is there within you. And I could see it from your presentation also, where you have clearly, I mean, you really have given a lot of scope for the students also, from the students' perspective, what can be the career options for them, as well as you also have given a very good insight into how the branch can be a very good option for the students, for the upcoming students also. Thank you, ma'am.
Definitely, ECE has a lot of foundation aspects. See, for example, recently I have started exploring in the area of ML and AI, and I see that there is a lot of foundation which I find it useful now. For example, I have learned the subjects like digital signal processing, image processing, pattern recognition aspects, which are like a very strong foundation courses for me for now to understand the ML aspects actually. So
Yes.
I'm pretty sure ECE is one of the wonderful subjects.
You always
Thank
have
you.
been an inspiration for our VNR, being the alumni from VNR. I think many of our students look up to you because we keep telling in all our presentations that you are one of our alumni who have secured a gold medal in that days when you were competing with all the affiliated colleges also. So I really, your inputs have been will be a very good value addition for our students second year students who also are watching this. Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to go to Avinash sir. So Avinash sir, so I have seen your what do you call your intro. I can understand that you have worked in a varied amount of fields, like starting from VLSI to AI. And can you just throw us some light on the various possibilities that EC have? And right now, you are also working on chipset in IIT Hyderabad, I think, which is also current contemporary technology right now, which even in the newspapers also recently, 1 or 2 days back, we had a news on that also coming from IIT Hyderabad, and you are part of that probably. So please, sir, inputs from you on EC actually.
Yeah, sure, madam. Thank you so much. I think Kamala madam covered most of the things what I wanted to say, but however, I will just add a few points. So I'll just try to share the screen.
Definitely, sir.
Can you see the screen, madam?
No, sir.
No, sir, not yet.
Okay, maybe I think just give me a second. I'm just trying to.
Priyanka, you have sir's presentation, I guess.
Yeah, sir, is it the presentation which was sent to Padma Sain, ma'am?
Yeah. I think now you can probably see.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Yeah. So just to add to what Kamala madam has said, I think she has covered most of the things. So I will just cover few things. What is really needed for the parents and the students who are actually asking their telling their children to join EC branch. So I think that is one of the best choices which you can make in the current generation. EC has always been one of the best branches. Even when we were doing pursuing our master's program or bachelor's program. So EC is something which has given a very strong fundamental base, especially for my career as well. So I just wanted to tell a few points based on that. So first thing is there are various fundamental subjects related to electronics field which help build the fundamentals of the students, right? So if you take any other branch, let's say if you take computer science, or if you take any other like mechanical or anything, every branch has got its own importance. But when you come to EC, it can actually cover most of the other branches also. Like for example, computer science, right? So you can actually, I have mentioned one point here. It has a good blend of both core electronics and programming languages. So you get a rare combination of where you learn the core electronics subject as well as the programming languages also. So the students, if they want to go into software after they complete their EC, they can also go into the software field. The people who are interested in core electronics and want to continue their career in the core field, they can actually go into the core domain as well. So in the current technological world, communication is the key, and EC study helps students to understand the various communication channels and all the latest technologies, right? Like artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, etc. finally are nothing but chipsets that need to be designed using some technology, and that technology is nothing but VLSI technology. So even the buzzwords, as Kamala madam said, AI or ML, what are they? Finally, you have to make some chip out of it. Otherwise, you just know theoretically what is AI, what is ML, but if you don't finally create a chip out of it, there is no use. So the final chip is nothing but, again, core electronics, which is nothing but VLSI domain. So in a single sentence, I would say anything that needs intelligence embedded in it needs VLSI technology. So whether it is AI, ML, or even if you take some small consumer electronics like a mixie, automotive cars, geysers, everything you take, right? Wherever there is intelligence, you need VLSI technology, and VLSI technology you can only learn in your EC branch of study. So in that way, I will really say that the students are very fortunate if they take up this as a career, because it has a blend of both software and electronics. So that is the takeaway from this slide. I put a lot of points, but finally that is what I wanted to say. It's a unique blend where you get to learn both software and hardware. Okay, so these are some of the major subjects which the student studies and which is very important. Like for example, EDC, electronic devices and circuits, switching theory and logic design, communication theory, analog and digital communications, microprocessors. So almost all the students, I am sure, everyone has a smartphone, everyone knows that there's a processor inside it, and most of them also know that the processor is either from Qualcomm, mostly from Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. So you get a chance to work on these type of things, right, when you go into ECE. So this is something which other branch students might not be so fortunate to work on, something which, so you can proudly say to your parents that, yeah, I am working on some processor design which is being used by millions and millions of people all around the world. That is really a very fantastic feeling within ourselves as well, right? So we are creating something which other people are using. So how many students actually get a chance to do this type of work? So you also have some so people who are interested in some programming languages, they can also go into the, we have a hardware description language, Verilog or C. So you get a chance to learn the programming languages. You can also learn some CMOS stuff, analog design. So there are some very interesting subjects. Apart from this, there are still a lot of subjects, but I just put some of the major subjects which are very interesting and which hopefully will turn your career into VLSI and other core technologies like embedded once you actually master these subjects in your BTech, during your BTech course. So these are some of the careers which madam has already told, and I am just adding again to it. So we have a VLSI career, which is what I am doing right now. It is my bread and butter. So had I not studied electronics at that time, probably I would have not been in such a comfortable position today. Any other branch, maybe I would have not even made it to the level which I have made it today. So I am really grateful to ECE and my professors and everyone who have made a difference to my career. So same way, I am expecting that you people will also be very proud that you have taken up ECE at some point in your career when you design some very complex chipsets. Then you also can move into embedded technology. Let's say you're very good at C programming. You can do some device driver development, and if you are very good at operating systems, you can also do some lot of work on OS. So that is the embedded technologies. Then there is robotics. You can always go into robotics. Robotics is going to the future of electronics, because as you go, you will see a lot of driverless cars. Right now you're driving cars, automotive industry. So you're driving cars, a lot of accidents are happening. So all these can be avoided when robotics, robots start actually driving your car. That is called driverless cars. So you don't have to actually drive the car. Somebody from the robot will be actually driving your car, and you can safely sit, and safety also will be increasing. So this is something which is going to change a lot of the way, just how the corona has changed the world. Robotics is going to change the way we live in the future. Then we also have machine learning and artificial intelligence chips. As I mentioned to you, this is nothing but finally you have to implement a chip which is nothing but again a VLSI technology. And I have just mentioned one chip, like a security chip. Security is one of the biggest challenges right now, and most of the security chips are based on AI or ML, and you get a chance to work basically on those chips when you move into your career, or once you finish your education in ECE, you will be working on such chips. Then you also have software jobs. If somebody is really very keen that I want to go into software, since you already learned C, which is the basis of all software languages, you can also go into Linux programming, you can go into .NETs, Javas and all that. So you don't have to go into CSE to learn all this. That is the point which I'm trying to make. You can as well do your ECE, and if you have a very strong passion for software languages, you can actually learn them along with your ECE branch. Also, then there is a lot of manufacturing jobs which are coming up. So for example, your like phones or fabs, fabrication. So if you want to work on fabrication, finally, after all the art coding and after all the physical design and everything, finally the chip has to be fabricated, right? So you want to work on the fabrication side, manufacturing side also, there are a lot of options for ECE students. So these are very few of the current options which I have put. Moving forward, these are going to be your actual bread and butter, because when we started VLSI, probably we were not aware of AI and ML. But right now, when I am working with the professors at IIT, I could see what huge difference AI and ML is going to make to the lives which moving forward, right? Which we are going to design for them. So I think this is a great opportunity. From VLSI to AI, everything is finally intelligence, and intelligence is nothing but VLSI. Just take it as a core sentence that yes, you have to work on these technologies. You will make a difference, and you will make your parents very proud by designing these chips, which will be very useful to the society. Yeah, madam, that's it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, Avinath, sir. It has been a very crisp and very clear construction of what are the career prospects related to ECE and the various things. So I hope the students who are following this session, as well as the parents, have got now have tuned into this idea of what is ECE and all. May I now just request the panel members to switch on the video once before we take a photo, and I'll proceed with the Umesh sir and Suresh sir. I request Umesh sir and Suresh sir to please switch on their videos. We'll just take a group photo once.
Teja also, Teja. All the members.
Umesh sir.
Teja also our alumni.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Kamala.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, ma'am, I do know him actually. Hi, Teja.
Hi, Kamala, Bonara.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With 2005 kada pass out.
Yeah, I was your junior, yes.
Yeah, I know. I remember you.
Yeah.
Suresh 98.
And Umesh happens to be my batchmate.
Okay, ma'am. I have taken one and will be taking again in the other.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all of you. So next, I'll proceed with Umesh sir. Umesh sir, is he here?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's available.
So very interesting profile. I've seen the LinkedIn profile of sir, and I have seen that he wrote starting from writing code to building sky rockets, and now he's building computational intelligence. And his company Authbase happens to be the innovation product of year 2020 by HYSIA. So, sir, it's really a great privilege to have you here today among us. So can you just share your journey of how you have built up your innovative product of the year 2020, starting from your BTech EC? Umesh sir?
Actually, sir is available in the meet, ma'am. Some network issue. I'm just calling, ma'am. Just.
I think you can invite Suresh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So Suresh sir, I think it's a well-known fact that whenever we talk about ECE, we have always think of telecom sector, and you being a marketing person in the telecom sector, can you just tell us how ECE and telecom sector are inextricably intertwined, and your experience in your job also?
Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes,
One
sir.
second. So hello everyone. So hope you can see my screen. So okay. So growing towards better future. So the first thing you should always learn and to know like how you can have a strong foundation in terms of the institution that you are going to join and the stream that you are going to choose. So ECE is something like an evergreen subject, or the group, I can say, as Ms. Kamala and Mr. Avinash, they already introduced a lot about ECE and the benefits of ECE, where exactly the students, they can contribute in terms of the future requirements of the world, something like that. But however, just a very short introduction of myself. I did my bachelor's of technology in electronics and communication engineering in VNR Vignan Jyoti, and then I did my master's in communication systems from National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli. So overall experience, once I have completed my electronics and communication bachelor's, communication systems master's, I have been through different phases of technological evolutions, starting from 3G. I started my work with 3G, then continued with 4G. Now we are at 5G. So the technology evolution and also the smart city evolution. When I started, they were talking about smart city 1.0, and at this moment, everyone is talking about smart city 4.0. So this is where throughout the years, when we are working in electronics and communication area, so we will have wide exposure to learn a lot of things, not just limited like other streams. For example, if we compare computer science engineering or electrical or IT, mechanical, civil, they are limited to some extent. But the only technological evolutions will happen when electronics and communication domain is evolving. So based on this evolution, these computer science engineers or IT engineers, they are just adding the requirements where we can pop up the reality of the future. So something like this. So this is my overall experience that I just would like to show in general. Then we have several departments and roles. So before you choose ECE, you need to understand what are the departments available in an institution, what kind of different roles they play in the future. So for example, ECE focuses on telecommunication, smart cities, technologies, sensors, networks, platforms, VLSI, AI, ML. There are so many areas. But when it comes to computer science, I mean, they can only work on software development, software coding, and research related to any platform solutions, and IT, cloud, database for EEE energy solutions, mechanical for automation, robotics, these kind of stuffs. But one thing I would like to say, any student who have graduated from ECE can handle CSC or IT, these kind of roles, like developing a platform or doing the coding work. But if a student is graduated from computer science engineering, for him, it will be very hard to migrate himself to electronics and communication background. For example, in any company, if they are doing like VLSI design or chipset design, or working for some telecommunication module design, a computer science engineer cannot be fit for that kind of job. But if there is a software development opportunities or software coding, for sure ECE student will be suitable for these kind of roles. So in short, I would like to say ECE is somewhere you can fit in any kind of work role positions in the future. And ECE and capabilities. For example, ECE, once you graduate or you are doing your graduation in ECE, you have wide exposure of learning about technologies, learning about products, learning about softwares and online systems and many other things. So even during your graduation, you will be having wide exposure of all these things. And even once you complete your graduation, you can be able to cover a lot of wide areas.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt, sir. Your slides are not moving, sir. We are still on the first slide.
Oh, slides are not moving?
No. I think you have shared the full screen, but we are able to see the normal PPT version, sir. PowerPoint.
Now can you see the slides?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Now it is okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So I will not go to the full version. I will use this mode.
Yes.
Okay. So what I was saying is overall experience, what I have learned after graduating from electronics and communication engineering. I had wide exposure to learn so many things, what's happening around the world, what kind of technologies are being evolved and all these things. So what I was also explaining about departments and roles, for example, ECE, you can work for various technology, smart cities, network, sensors, platforms. And computer science engineer, if they are focused on platform and applications, IT engineers, they are focusing on database and cloud. But however, once we graduate from ECE, we can also be suitable to do these kind of jobs like platform and application, database, clouds, energy and resources, these kind of jobs. But however, for the communication science engineering or computer science engineering or IT graduates, they cannot be suitable for the electronics and communication engineering job roles. So this is where I want to say, like, ECE is something like a base point where a student can, you know, expand himself wherever he fits in the future. And then ECE and capabilities, there are so many wide areas of learnings during their bachelor's, or after they do masters, or if they are into PhD or research, or they are working for any organizations. So there are a lot of technology areas, product areas, software areas, online opportunities, and also other areas. So growth and expenses, the reason I included this slide, which is very important for any parent when they are choosing an institution. For example, if you choose a smaller institution for your children, they might be going to the institution just to study something, whatever the teachers are teaching them, and then they will do the examinations, and they cannot be competitive in the market. But however, a bigger institution can provide a lot of other benefits. For example, like if a student would like to do research and development, so the institution should have facilities. Institution should have platforms, licenses, softwares. So as an individual, if you want to invest on that, you might be spending like lakhs and crores. But however, the institutions, they already have these foundation where the students, they can use the facilities to do their research work. And yearly learning, for example, if a student, he joins a small institution, they don't have support for the learning materials, then you have to spend your own money from your pocket. As a parent, you will be spending money for the graduation and also spending money for the learning courses or material. But for a bigger institution, you will not face these kind of things because they have huge infrastructure, facilities, libraries, materials, and all these things. And also for testing, sometimes the students, they might use the existing facilities to do their testing of equipments or components. And other times, if the institution is not capable enough, or if they don't have the facilities, they might fund for external testing in other laboratories or government departments testings, these kind of things. So this is why you should always choose a bigger institution in terms of your children career, and also you should focus on which area or streamlines that they are choosing for their career. And financial supporting, for sure, bigger institutions will always give financial support for students who are putting their efforts to innovate something or develop some products. They can use the institution facilities to overcome the financial hurdles they might face in the future after they graduate from the institutions, or if they are studying in a smaller institution. So this is most important thing that you should consider. And then working areas for an electronics and communication engineer, there are always wide exposure. For example, like they can focus on IoT areas or artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, drones, fleet management, energy solutions, software design, ERP solution. So there is a wide opportunity when it comes for electronics and communication engineering student. And then the future opportunities is not just limited to one or two companies. There is a huge scope for electronics and communication students. So depending on which area they are interested in, for example, you are going to a buffet. So when you go to a buffet, if you are not comfortable to consume more of the food, you can just consume something to fill your stomach. So this is where electronics and communication engineering is like a buffet. So whichever area that you are most interested, you can choose that area for your future. And there are hundreds and thousands of companies, they are doing research and development and doing business in those kind of areas. And also one thing I would like to emphasize, like in the career growth. For example, once we graduate from electronics and communication engineering, it's not always that we should only focus our future for the technical aspects like research and development or designing something, but also in terms of sales, marketing, business development, we can also grow in these areas. For me, I graduated from VNR Vignar Jyoti for bachelor's and master's in NIT Trichy. So I am a pure technical background guy, but I I had the chance from my companies to learn a lot of other areas, like how to do the sales activities, how to do the marketing activities for technologies, how to do the business development activities when it comes for technologies or projects or solutions, these kind of things. So you are not just limited to one area or one kind of work job role, but there is wide exposure when it comes for learning and growing. So it always depends on the student how he personally would like to develop himself after he graduate from this institution and after he graduated from electronics and communication engineering. So that's it from my side, and thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Suresh sir. It was indeed wonderful explanation of how a career in EC can go forward. And I think your experience serves as a very good example how you can excel in any field chosen, provided you have a strong, you have a strong base in your BTech. Thank you, sir. So Umesh sir, are you here? Umesh sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Sir, we would like to know your journey from the branch of engineering of ECE to what you are today now. North-based being the best innovation product of year 2020. So, how was your journey? We just would like to know from you, sir.
Sure. I have a slide. Can I?
Yes, definitely, sir.
Yeah. One second. So Modbase was, we started Modbase almost 5 years ago. Idea being there was a significant gap between how problems are solved in terms of security today, cybersecurity, and what is the impact of that, direct impact on that with respect to are we solving the problem on time? Are we able to maintain and get the pro? Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is this better?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
So we decided to actually solve the problem using AI for a simple reason that most of the significant attacks that you notice on any network environment or any place, it happens because not that currently you have your antivirus, you have your firewall, right? The way they work is they work by signatures and rules. Firewalls get updated periodically. Antiviruses get updated almost every day now, and these signatures and rules are the only way they can get detected. But what happens when you don't have these signatures or rules is the problem, right? Most of the attacks that happen today, they are the whole ecosystem has completely changed towards these attacks. There are no more variants of the same virus. There are different viruses because people just use different variants, different viruses instead of using different variants because it's just a one-time thing for them, and then they move on to a new virus out there. So we decided to actually solve this using AI because even if you don't have signatures or rules, if you're training a model, you can actually identify different patterns in that models or anomalies, and then we can target towards those anomalies and say if it is a risk, if it is how big of a risk it is, and towards what it's trying to do and how we can stop it. During this, we won a bunch of awards, starting from being being recognized as one of the top AI cybersecurity startups by CB Insights, to winning last year the best innovative product. We won in total around 25 global awards and recognitions. So what we essentially, let me show you what we essentially did. The screen that you see, everything that is in the dark, is basically the impact of WannaCry ransomware virus. So the reason why it was so severe is not because you have US here, you have India here, you have Australia here. These are places where you have firewalls, you have antiviruses, right? The reason still attack went through is because they didn't have the signature for that particular virus. And within 2 weeks, this was able to actually spread all over the world. And the more they started releasing the packs and virus got updated over and over, and the only places you see where the infection is not spread is the places where there are no computer networks, and Antarctica kept aside. So today, the biggest problem with botnets essentially is this: they infect through mail, they infect through websites. Once they come into your system, they see how they can spread through other networks. And this is all, we build these communication layers, right? We build different protocols that just piggybacking on those protocols and those communication layers to infect every machine out there. And then the human element of us comes into it. If you don't have backups, then you tend to actually pay, or you tend to actually there's a lot of theft even in personal identifiable data, and that is significantly costlier today than anything else. So most of the time these are affected towards every computer out there, but sometimes they are very targeted towards financial institutions like banks and hospitals. So this is a very basic thing in terms of how cyber attacks happen. There's a whole ecosystem in terms of how they happen, and our technology or our product essentially blocks it. And so we could actually identify it at many levels and block it very fast. Without our product, it will take approximately, if you either need a signature or a rule, or if there is a security operations center, it will take them 2 hours to actually identify source and block it. We do it in seconds. So it's been a crazy ride for us. And one of the things I would totally concur with the previous speakers is going through doing my undergrad in ECE, especially in VNR, gives us the ability to actually think outside the box. I pursued my master's in computer science later, but the reason I took ECE was by the time I went to engineering, I had to choose something I didn't know about, and computer science I was very good at when I was a kid. So I chose ECE because I wanted something new, but it was very good, very challenging, and gives you a definitive edge towards what you want to do with your life. One of the things is I could learn anything I want today with respect to computer science through various courses, even through different universities online. ECE is something that is hands-on. It's pure electronics. You need to play with it. You need to understand it. You need to, even when you're creating it or diagnosing problem, you are practically playing with the circuits. That helps. Today, one of our products is completely put on its own hardware, and the advantage of that is, well, it's completely self-sustaining, and it can actually, you can deploy it on an enterprise. If it is already infected as well, we are able to give them actions. These kinds of technologies we understand because we have the edge in, we understand electronics, we understand computer science. And one of the things is that today, if I want to learn electronics, I cannot go anywhere and learn it, but computer science, I can always pick it up. Second advantage you have is ECE is one of those fundamental branches, right? The technology evolution is still happening. You have seen Apple, how in a span of 10 years has beaten companies like Intel by going towards ARM technology, by using RISC ARM technologies, and how Intel is trying to come back by acquiring companies like RISC. So it's an amazing space to be in, especially if you're in electronics, because you get to play, obviously, with these cutting-edge technologies. But then again, you get to play with software that works on top of this electronics, like what we do, and essentially gives you best of the both worlds. So for us, it was fairly simple in terms of how to solve the problem. Was we understood what happens in an ecosystem, what we need to do. So we went in. Took us almost 2 years of research and development to build the product. Then it was all then it was kind of luck. We found few customers like the Big Four who had the data, who needed a solution that was faster than what they're currently doing, which had a huge human element into it. The moment we were able to solve it, especially because we were cutting down the human element, we realized the potential of the product. And because we did, we could actually do a lot more in terms of what, like you can see here, we currently have numbers that are way further than what is happening. Like I said, sorry about the slide. So today the technologies are growing so fast, it takes a long time to catch up if you don't have the fundamentals right. I got lucky, I did my undergrad in electronics, then took my master's. But you need to constantly update, and our 2 years of research did pay off. But we are continuously doing research towards reducing the size of our hardware, reducing the software footprint on our machines, deploying it remotely, fueling it faster. Whole idea of running your own company or running an innovation based technology is always constantly updating yourself, constantly updating your technologies, seeing how you can speed it up, how you can reduce its footprint. And it's been an amazing ride. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think that's
Thank you, Miss Sir. I really like your version of how you said that EC can form as a background to play with various technologies that are available right now. And
oh, absolutely. You can take Tesla, which is having it's built on its own hardware, and partly from NVIDIA, but the entire AI solution is their own. You can take NVIDIA, you can take SpaceX, every kind of ones are all automation has essentially AI and automation have become future, and they need these kind of hardware to be able to execute them.
Yeah.
Fundamentals wise, nothing beats EC for sure.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So it's really clear, I guess, that having an EC background gives you an edge and also gives you a lot of strong foundation for you to evolve in the various unknown verticals, as Vinay sir was telling, or Suresh sir was saying that any technology you take it, so EC can form as the base for all these technologies, and whatever technologies will evolve in future also. Probably this can serve as a very good, strong foundation for the students who take up this course. I would like to invite the parents if they want to ask any questions, or else I'll continue with the session with a few questions which we have got from the chat box or from the parents. So if anyone wants to ask questions live, they can just unmute themselves and put forth their questions. Otherwise, I'll just ask the questions whatever we had got through mails and all. Okay. Okay then, right. So since none of the parents are coming forward, so I'll just quickly ask a few questions to our panel experts, whoever are here. So first, I would like to start off with Kamala, ma'am. Ma'am, so since you are in a core domain, especially in this, you are in NVIDIA and you are a senior ASIC engineer. So what makes you feel content about your present job? And how do you find it exciting to pursue this career? Because these questions might be from our EC students also, because they are also hearing out to you. So I think from that perspective, I would like to hear it from you.
Okay. So, like I have been with the VLSI industry, and EC is the core. Like that is one of the main branches which will help a lot in the EC industry. For example, even in the VLSI industry, when we come to VLSI industry, there are again multiple aspects of it. For example, we have CAD industry, which designs the tools to make chip designs. So that basically goes mostly into computer science engineering, where there is a lot of algorithm and computational aspects. So when we say, that's what I'm saying, any industry, it's actually a complete ecosystem that we need. It's not just that this branch is for this industry or whatever it is. Even for VLSI industry, there are people from computer science engineering. They do contribute a lot. But that we say it as a CAD industry, where they design the tools for designing the chips. So as far as the stream that I have chosen, even in the chip design, we have multiple aspects, the front end part, we have the back end process, we have the fabrication process. So when it comes to the fabrication process, it's probably material engineering, right? So out of the long chain that I have shown in my PPT, there are multiple stages even in design of a chip. So it's a small part where I have been contributing. It's mainly the front end process. So in that front end process, again, the main role is like getting the customer requirements. Then we decide what all components need to go into it. For that, we probably apply a lot of computation, computer architecture concepts, like how many ALUs, what processors, the processor concepts, the von Neumann architecture concepts. So all this, we had again a strong foundation of EC. So that is how this branch has led or me to that industry side actually.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It's really interesting. As you said, design aspect is a very challenging thing, and you find it interesting in every way possible. I mean, daily you find it something interesting coming up your sleeve and challenging you. I think that gives a lot of satisfaction at the end point. So let me ask Suresh sir. Sir, with the background of EC, you said that you have come into a marketing position and you are currently a marketing manager also. So do you find any relevance of ECE and your current job profile?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm doing marketing role in my own area. I mean, I'm not doing something outside my area, in my own area. For example, being a technical graduate, if you are joining a company to do the development or design or manufacturing, fabrication, whatever, I mean, it shouldn't be that, I mean, you should only position yourself in those areas. It depends on people. For example, once the company, they develop some technologies, it has to be sold somewhere. And we cannot just take the technology to the end clients by saying, okay, this is a technology and buy. So we should have some sales experience and we should have some business development capabilities or marketing capabilities. But while doing those activities, for sure, we need to have some technical background. Because
Yes.
we cannot just tell the customer, you should build this kind of technological infrastructure or you should buy this component where it will bring you benefit without knowing the technical background of that product.
Yes. Sir.
So when you graduated from ECE, you have technical background. And then these are something like new steps where you build your career and for the career growth.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. As you told, so anyway, you are in the telecom sector and you are marketing the products related to electronics. So it makes you the task also for you very interesting and very ease also probably for you. So thank you
Yes.
for sharing that. Next, I'd like to ask Avinash also, Umesh, based on his experience. So has it been an uphill task for you to evolve in these technologies? Like you have your auth base, which is working on cybersecurity, and has it really become difficult for you to understand these things and get involved in these things? And how challenging had it been actually?
Actually, no. For me, I got that luck or advantage. You can say that I was working with various technologies ever since I was a kid. So I was very passionate. I was finding flaws. One of the reasons I got the MVP award is like I found a bunch of flaws in multiple systems. So cybersecurity has always been a passion. So I never thought I'll essentially run a business out of it. Sheer happenstance, I guess. But definitely R&D research. Today we are coming out with something that is as simple as a PCI chip that goes into your computers and can secure your computer from viruses and attacks. So totally, most of the time when you do research, right, we have an outcome of the research, but you also need to understand that it takes multiple attempts, different thinking. If one way doesn't work, then you have to figure out some other way of solving a problem. So yeah, it requires a lot of patience, a lot of time, and definitely the outcome and the results. There is always an outcome, and what you do with that outcome actually matters. So I wouldn't say it's a struggle. I would just say you need a lot of patience and perseverance to be at any of the cutting edge sciences, and the results are obviously amazing, but you have to have the patience towards it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for telling us that. So patience and interest. So as you were saying, so he had interest in that particular zone, and he could pursue it with passion. And now he's taking up, as he told, so he's owning a company based on which he's working also. Oh, thank you, sir. So next, I would like to ask Avinash, sir. Avinash, sir, how do you see the boundaries of core branches in the coming years? Because right now everyone is behind the evolving technologies. So what about the core branches like ECE? So how do you see the future of these branches in the coming years?
I think I already in the beginning itself I have told, right? So AI, ML, these are going to be the future for any, whether it is VLSI or computer science or anything. So this is going to be the main focus area for many of the companies. So just to give you a small example, there are a lot of startups which are now coming into Hyderabad and Bangalore from US, which are actually developing AI chipsets, right? So they need a lot of young graduates. So they're looking for a lot of people who are actually already know have good idea, technical knowledge on AI and ML. So I'm pretty sure that is going to be one of the key areas where we have to groom our EC syllabus as well towards that particular end. So AI and ML, undoubtedly, they are going to be the future, as far as I see. And apart from that, on the technical side, if you see like system Verilog and UVM on the verification domains, on the front end VLSI domains, so all these are also ramping up to the next levels. So we have seen Verilog. When I started, it was Verilog verification. Now we are seeing system Verilog and UVM. So that is also changing rapidly. So there are few more technologies which are going to come up. But definitely, I think if we can include in the syllabus, probably these AI and ML and some of the good verification methodologies which are coming up, I think that we are ready for facing the next generation, technology.
Okay, sir. So how do you think that we can expand this scope of opportunities if suppose EC students are there? So how do you think they should go about in expanding their scope of opportunities in the evolving technologies?
So I think, madam, the first thing is definitely a change in the pattern of education, right? So the syllabus needs to be constantly worked out, which I am pretty sure, colleges like VNR are already doing a lot of grooming along with the industry folks. So I think that's one very good way of keeping updated the syllabus and making sure that the students are on the latest technologies. So typically with the end of another area which I think would also help will be like training the faculty on these technology areas. So that is also going to help a lot for the students. So that's how we actually evolve. With technology, we are also evolving. So first of all, I would also like to thank Padmasai madam, because I have been associated with VNR for more than 2 to 3 years, and I have seen how the grooming happens. So I think that same thing should continue in future also. So the grooming is very important to be to be in sync with the latest technologies. So that is what I recommend, and that is what is already happening at VNR, right? So
okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for allowing us to know about all these things. So next, I would like to ask Kamla ma'am. So since she's working in the core domain, ma'am, many parents are just looking at the pay prospects or the salary or hike or whatever it is. So how do you suggest them? Because you being in the core domain, so what are the prospects of pay packages which you see in the core domain industry?
Okay. So I will directly go to the point. So if you look at what I have been observing in the recent years is for an ECE BTech grad, the salary starts somewhere around 6 lakhs on an average. But once we specialize or master a subject, for example, once you do MTech or MS, that is where it goes like average numbers I'm saying. So it's around 12 to 14 lakhs per year.
Okay.
And I just wanted to add one more point. So one is the money aspect. Definitely, everybody wants to make sure that they are in the proper path and they are able to earn good enough because they put lot of effort in their career, and eventually everybody wants to make sure that they got a good pay package. So apart from that, the second thing, which is that the job we choose, we need to be really happy, and what contribution are we making to the society, right? So for example, ECE, if you look at, and in specific, for example, NVIDIA is making so many chips, and the contribution it is making to the healthcare industry, whether it is making to the autonomous industry. So the impact is very huge. You take any industry, everything finally boils down to some hardware. And for that, ECE is must. Electronics is must. So this is one of the best branches which does that, and everything grows on top of that hardware.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So thank you for giving us an insight into the pay packages, because I could see a few parents putting forth their questions in the chat box related to the core companies. So that was how the question cropped up. So next, I would like to ask Suresh sir, since he's into marketing. Sir, how do we create a demand for the job profile coming from an EC background? How do you suggest that we withstand the competition with the other branches? So what are your inputs from that end, sir?
Okay, so as during my presentation, I showed to you, I presented like for EC students, there is a wide scale of opportunities, not just limiting ourselves for EC or communication, something like that. A student, if he is planning for his future, once he graduated, it could be only starting from the technical point of view, because when you are graduating from a technical scope, you are only targeting the companies who are into the same technical domain. But if you are targeting something like for marketing or sales or business development, then you need to do your further educations for the MBA and these kind of things. So in the last slide of my presentation, I showed a wide portfolio of companies. So if you are interested in one particular domain in ECE, then you can choose a set of companies. If you are interested in other kind of domain areas, then you should choose other set of companies. Like Mr. Umesh, he is focused in cybersecurity, which is also the future. Because security is most important when it comes to the data and whatever we are deploying as an infrastructure. So cybersecurity plays a major role. So most of the students, they might not know about the benefits of cybersecurity and the future benefits of it. So cybersecurity is also another area where students can focus on, but it also requires some knowledge about coding and these kind of stuffs. So there is no limitation that once the student graduates from ECE, it should only restrict himself for this job or that job.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for those inputs. Last question to Umesh, sir. Sir, what are the pros and cons of being an entrepreneur? Because you being an entrepreneur and have your own company, so some of the students also probably would look forward to do such kind of a thing. So what do you think are the pros and cons related to that?
Pros are, okay, let's start with the cons. What people see as an entrepreneur life, with all the fame and glory, it's not just that, right? There is an opposite side to it. You are working 24/7, you are always working. And definitely, if you are an introvert, it's a super advantage, because you don't miss your social life. You tend to do everything, put everything into the company. But if you're an extrovert, then there's a good amount of adjustment. Your friends, your family, everybody needs that time away from you, right? So obviously, you need support of your family. If you're starting a company, you need support of your friends. And don't do it alone. Have a co-founder. That will be amazing. Lack of a better word, I didn't find that many people into deep tech when I started. Maybe I could find them now. So I did it alone, and I got very lucky. But if you have a co-founder, or if you have any support from the family, then it always works. So yeah, it's not easy, and it's not for everybody. But when you know, it's something like that. Gallup did a survey of 100,000 entrepreneurs in the Valley, and it found out that all of them actually had risk in the top 3 strengths as a definitive answer. So people who have risk in their life, or if people who tend to take more risks, tend to do their own startups or tend to do something on their own because they want to figure out what they are completely capable of. And like I said, like you can completely be a CEO on a salary job and that will still be epic. And so Tim Cook, for example, he's not a founder, but he has done amazing things. I never would have thought in 100 years that Apple could move from a design to a R&D company, a chip manufacturer, chip to chip company, no less, in less than 10 years. Impossible, but he did it. So entrepreneurship is a bit difficult, definitely difficult. If anybody is interested, try doing something very small in your engineering with your EC cell. Run it for a year, see if you can make money out of it. And that is the number one thing, right? You need your idea validated, you need your customers acknowledged, you need to find the product market fit. All of these three are very important. And that experience will grow. Then go do your masters or work somewhere for a few years. You'll understand how businesses are done, what processes exist in a business. Then if you still find time to let go of that very lucrative job and start something on your own, but definitely, yes, you should, at that point, you should definitely try doing something on your own.
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to add to Umesh.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm just bringing in the conclusion aspect. So before I close this panel discussion, I would like to invite.
No. Before closing, I want to add to Umesh. One point I want to add.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Umesh, when you started, the ecosystem is different. Now at present, a lot of support for startups in India. Okay, one of our student, he started his journey from first year onwards. By the time he gone to third year, he got 50 lakh fund from Bayrak Big. Okay.
Wow, ma'am! Congratulations.
Yeah. So now there is a lot of support for all entrepreneurs from the government of India. So not only in a traditional system, if our father is a industrialist, we can run that industry. No, now. So even though this boy, he started his own startup at our college, he's doing good. In the pandemic situation, he has developed 5 more ideas, and at present he is working on product that is Pani Puri. So without touching, you will get Pani Puri from that machine.
I would definitely want to try that.
He started prosthetic hand. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So he is having a number of ideas. Within no time, he is having idea. Okay, that is very, very important. We have to think differently. So then college is supporting now, not only all engineering colleges are supporting all the students for that idea. And when they want to incubate, they are giving place and supporting entire seed money, whatever they require. And finally, Government of India, suppose they submit proposal, so they are getting funds from the Government of India. That is a very good opportunity for all the students who have passion to start their own startup. Okay, not
Amazing.
only for students, for faculty also they are supporting. Okay, so that is a good boon for all of us.
Totally.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for adding that up. Yeah, VNR has got a very good support system, especially for entrepreneurs also. And we do have such many kind of things and competitions in the college, like big idea competition and all, where the college does provide seed fund for the ideas, whatever they want to conceptualize and start off their, whatever they want to do. So anyway, thank you for all the panelists, Kamala ma'am, Avinash sir, Suresh sir, and Umesh sir for joining us today and emphasizing on the branch relevance and branch significance to our parents and students who have been watching us. And I'm very proud to say that 3 of these panelists are alumni of VNR. So we are very happy to be having them on this panel discussion for today. I really thank all the panelists who have joined us today for this panel discussion. So, and thank the parents and students also who have logged in for this session to get an insight into this. So, concluding remarks from Head of the Department, Dr. Y. Padmasai ma'am. Ma'am, would you like to?
Okay, I thank all the members. So before concluding of this talk, I request Teja to add few points to. He is also one of the alumni. He is working for Mentor Graphics. And
Yeah. Sure, ma'am. Probably I'll not have as much of an organized thought as the other panelists have, but I'll just add a couple of cents. So I passed out from VNR in 2005 and did my master's from Kharagpur in 2007. And since then, I've been working with Mentor Graphics. So Mentor Graphics is an EDA company. It's an electronic design automation company. So as Kamala mentioned, so we develop tools that aid designers develop chips. And the fact that I've been continuously working for the same company implies that it's an extremely interesting job to be part of. So there are two aspects when choosing a branch or choosing a career. One is, are you going to like doing what you're doing for 4 years during your bachelor's? Would it also help you think about mastering some of the core concepts? Would it want you to add research or probably stretch the envelope of the field by doing some kind of research work? And the most important part is, once you're through with your educational part, whether it be bachelor's, master's, or PhD, you would probably work for 25, 30 years. Would you want to go to work every day with a feeling of, I wish I didn't have to do this? Or would you actually want to go there every day excited? You want to wake up in the morning thinking that, great, there's a debug that I still need to finish, or there's a debug that's actually waiting for me. There's a customer that would like to send out a thanks note. So these are things that will be keeping you interested in your job. There are lots of job opportunities available for us, both on the core side as well as the non-core side. But I bet the interest that gets generated in a core job is probably unparalleled. For 20 years, if you're planning on doing something for 20 years, it'd rather be interesting rather than a boring, repeated kind of a job. So on that front, I would prefer that one choose a career path that actually is puzzling. You're kind of solving some puzzles, something interesting. And on that front, I think I would always prefer to do EC as my bachelor's. Like Umesh said, Umesh happens to be my batchmate. I know him from 2001. So I know how he was interested in computers all the way through. So I knew his knowledge of computers since 2001. So I knew why he didn't choose to go into computer science, because like he said, most of what you learn in computer science engineering can be learned by yourself. You probably spend a couple of hours extra every night and you more or less understand most of the things. But if you want to experiment with a breadboard, if you want to experiment with a microprocessor, if you want to experiment with a microcontroller, you need a lab. You need a license. If you want to try out Verilog, VHDL, you need labs. If you want to eventually synthesize a chip while you're still in your bachelor's, you need a college that can help you provide funds for that. So these are things that you should look for. And I believe on that front, VNR does a great job. I think, like I said, since I wasn't really organized with my thought, I really couldn't add more to it. But maybe next time I'll have a PPT presented in as well a manner as the others have. Thanks.
Krishna Teja sir, you have added a lot of value addition has been done from your end also, though it's not organized also. I feel that, yes, what you have said is truly correct. So with respect to EC perspective, so VNR has a very strong academic background, as well as you are telling, with a lot of technology involved and a lot of labs which are very good, updated, and most recent technologies. So we keep complete exposure to the students related to the softwares or the design aspects and all those things. So I could see a question in the chat box, which one of the parents seems to be asking about the 5 top core companies which VNR students are hired into. So the thing is that, yes, we do encourage placements into core companies. So there are a lot many, like for example, Hyundai Mobis is there, NCR Corporation, AMD, Avantel, Tata ELXI, TCS Digital, Softronix, 2F Technologies. So I mean, you can look into our website where we have furnished the details related to the placements aspect. but many of the thing, even IITs which are facing is that the core companies, EC students are not quite attracted to core companies just because probably due to this pay package or something related to that. But yes, we do have in VNR core placements, and we are very strong in getting those core placements, especially EC students. And our highest pay package being 40 lakhs package, which we have got for one of the students of EC, on par with CSE student. And we average placement details also, average pay package is also very good for EC students. So I would like Padmasai madam, if she would like to add on this aspect. Padmasai
Okay, so not only concentrating on placement, we at EC department, we encourage our students develop in all round. Okay, if they have all the skills, whatever field they want to choose, they can easily adapt and they can easily learn. We are seeing four of our alumni. So how they have shared their knowledge to all of us. So like that, all our alumni, we are proud of them because of that one. So we are getting loop is closed. Whatever things that are placed, that are to be placed at the department, will update according to the needs of the industry. Already Avinash mentioned, we update curriculum after every 2 years. So we are not facing any problem. So in BYS also we are having industry experts. Whatever gap we are having, we are conducting certificate courses, so that as for their wish, they are going to either company or starting their own startup, or some of the students, if they are having passion towards academics, still they are pursuing their career in either it may be at IITs or MS. Okay, many of our students, actually most of the students, very fortunate as a teacher, they are doing extremely well wherever they are. Because of that one, day by day, our placements are drastically increasing by seeing the performance of our students. Our students are on par with NITs and IITs. I can proudly say that. Recently, actually, there is an opening at Synopsys. So generally, Synopsys will go for IITs, but they have given option for our students, for third year students, one year internship. So they have selected 3 of our students. Okay, why? Because our students are doing more than them. So last year also they have recruited third year. Generally they are recruiting either third year or fourth year, 1 year internship. After completion of that one, they are converting. All core companies, generally they won't give placement directly. So initially they have to do internship for 1 year when they are in the campus. We are also allowing the students to do internship, and finally they are converting as full-time employee. At the time they will get 12 to 14 lakh package. Already Kamala mentioned about that one. So attitude is very, very important. Already all the speakers mentioned about. So every day you have to learn. So if you are learning whatever technology it is coming across, so it is very easy to learn and adapt. Okay, so I request all the parents, please don't force students to join only this branch or that branch. As for their interest, they will join. So even though sometimes I feel some students will come to me and tell, I don't like this branch, I want to do civil engineering or mechanical engineering. But generally, parents, they will think only CSE and ECE only giving good placements, remaining all other branch, they won't get good placement. But no. But if they are studying whatever branch they are choosing, so they will do extremely well. Already all these members mentioned about that one. So I request all the parents, don't force children. Based on their interest, they will join, they will do definitely well. But choosing the college is very, very important. So when you are choosing the college, so if your ward is getting a rank, for example, more rank, if you are not getting either ECE or CSE, you can choose any branch. EAE also on par with ECE. Okay, so that whatever the subjects they are having here, they are also having the same thing. Okay, now for example, if you want to operate any instrument, if now all of you have seen how all Indians are suffered because of COVID. so shortage of instrument. So now we are wishing all electronics and communication as well as instrumentation, we have a lot of future in coming days. So I wish all the parents choose good college so that your ward will become successful engineer. Thank you, Kanti, for arranging this wonderful session. I thank all IEEE coordinators and team members for organizing such a wonderful event. I also thank all my beloved students and alumni. And Avinash also, without their support, department won't grow this much height. Because of all your support only, day by day, our department is growing. So thank you, Suresh, Kamala, Teja, Umesh, Avinash. Thank you for spending your valuable time. Thank you one and all for participating.
Thank you, ma'am. It was
ma'am.
indeed a privilege to participate in this.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you all.
Hi, Krishna.
Hi.
Let's catch up after.
Yeah, sure. We'll
Thank you.
catch up online.
Yeah, thank you, Padma Sai madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Avinash. Thank you, Teja. Thank you, Umesh, Kamala, Suresh.
Yeah. Thanks. And a small request to all the parents who have joined in. So you can put your mail or query to ecadmissions@vnrvjit.in, and you can personally request for a online video session with our branch counselors. If you still have any doubts related to the branch, they'll be very happy to help you out. So please mail your queries to ecadmissions@vnrvjit.in. Thank you.
Ma'am, in case if any parent want to ask any questions, we are here to solve it right now, ma'am. ఎవరైనా ఏమన్నా అడగాలి అనుకుంటే కనుక చెప్పండి. I'll just stop the recording of the session, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.